Hello guys, SE261 here, and actually I'm just gonna be reviewing of like the scrap engines I have in here. Just like mentioning of what I have. First of all, I'm just gonna show off all the pieces. First of all is a piece from a Hornby Gordon. It's like a buffer beam piece. Yeah. Next is a tanker. This tanker actually is it was in very bad shape. I actually took it apart, and actually this piece here, when I was taking it away, it cracked. So I thought just painting this have this as like a tinker that was involved in an accident, and the bottom underneath it got scratched. Next piece we have is like a Tomy old, not only one of these, but two 55XXs. These were actually just old ducks I had. They didn't work anymore, or from failed projects, so I just thought just rusting them all up and making them look like something that from like the end of the GWR days. Yeah. Next piece is a some like SR100 class, I think, engine. It's a old like Rusty Rosie. Yeah, actually it was like actually this was my old Rosie, my first Rosie, but it kind of got damaged. Actually lost the buffer, and like I kind of added this red. Actually, it still has its silver face, but I added a bit of red to make it look extra creepy. Also, there was where its front coupling was. And, oh, and by the way, I might glue this piece on to make it look like it's staying still. But I think it looks cooler. It's cool, just like it having sitting down. And a piece from an old Tommy Reneas. It's just an old cab roof piece. Also with cabs, this piece, but this thing, my mom was actually trying to bake something. I kept telling her not to. But she actually baked it, but actually kind of destroyed the cab a little. But plus, actually, yeah, plus it's kind of in bad shape. Actually, a little toaster oven I had baked it down very badly. And the cap push in, pressed in. And it actually looks kind of it's the coolest in my opinion. Next, by the way, that cab was from a Tommy Percy. And next of the Percys is this scrap engine that looks like a Percy. Yeah, I just made it look like it's very old. It has a bit of rust there. This buffer was from an old Hornby piece. I thought just refurbishing it and using it for some older piece. Anyway, I removed a wheel and did that. Just made it look like it does not have he does not have his pistons. I think yeah. Also, my first Bachmann Thomas. Oops, actually, yeah, it was just an old Thomas, didn't work anymore without just making it all scrap-like. This is probably one of my best. It has, all, different, effects. Here's this back piece. And this piece. Yeah, I actually did, a little, extra, piece thing for, making it look like a little rust piece thing, it was hanging. Yep, next is kind of a Hodge-podge piece thing. A smoke box from an old Scarlo and a running board piece thing from an old Percy. I think it looks cool in my opinion. So, yeah. Ignore that. next is from when I made my first old, like, well, it was either from an old Tomy build or Ben actually didn't work, so I just thought of just scrapping up the cab. Oh, by the way, to people that made Wilbert / 16 customs, with the old cab piece thing from the Bill / Ben and the front part from Percy, paint them rust and put them like in a scrapyard. Next, an old pony truck from an old Harmy Gordon. I just made it look all rust-like. Yeah, it looks kind of cool in my opinion. Next, an old piece from a Stepney from some like older failed custom. Yeah, it looks really neat, actually. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, these little flat pieces here, covering up with like the little holes you expect to see, they're actually from test source paint. Well, like those like white circular things that keep the paint from like drying from when it's being shipped. Yeah, I used a few of those to cover the holes up. Next are 2 Tommy Duncans. This one was the first one I did. It looks like an old engine, and it looks pretty old. It has no wheels. It's, well, actually, it only has like a missing buffer. That makes it look extra, cool. And this one, just all rusted. Yeah, but actually what's weird is that these 2 Duncans are from different eras. This one has this, like, face piece thing here, and this one has this. So, yeah. I kind of like, out of, like, these, this one actually looks, these actually have different body shells, but this thing actually looks real, like the old, like, broken design. Kind of looks cool. It actually had, like, a buffer broken off, a wheel, some side rods, which, like, but doing, like, broken sides in the buffer at the back in this part. And the white, some white paint got spilled and got underneath it. And all of that. And, yeah. Next is an old piece from a, Tomy, from a Hornby Percy. It no longer worked. It actually quit working. So I actually did was just broke off the couplers. And just had like these side rods. And just had, had like an old like scrap chassis. One of the few common things you see in the scrapyard. Next piece thing is like, let me find, it, and, is an old Henry from a, yet again, failed custom. So, yeah. And this actually, the Smokebox store actually, if I get up, is actually from my Peter custom from, well, Peter's actually one of our Westeros character, but his tender kind of, it doesn't work anymore, so he's just useless for now, but I will buy him a new tender eventually. Yeah, I kind of prefer the Smokebox store. It looks like a really cool item. Next is, I might actually repaint this item. It's actually an old brake fan. Actually, I, took, the old wheels off long ago. From it actually, had fall apart, but actually sort of lost the parts, and yeah, plus, I just made this thing look all scrap-like, but this yellow was what I originally used when I made scrap engines, yeah. I used, some old, rust nail polish, but then it got discontinued. Yes, I used a rusty nail polish look don't laugh at me for using that. But I actually, if someone can help me find a similar type, like if that what was on that one Duncan, this actually looks kind of neat. I just didn't like make it look like the roof was sagging a little. I might just make it look, just do a little bit of modding to the roof to make it look like so you don't see a crack. Also remove the buffer. And next is like an old take-along Ned. Yes, arm kind of, well, I do get bored sometimes and I kind of chewed on his arm. These things, so I just broke it off. Which I will be using when I make the Trackmaster model of the Scrap Monster from Taylor the Brave. And I just made this thing look old and rusted, and also I made this part yet again like what I did with the brake fan, just made it look like it was sagging down. Words. I might redo this and like take off a wheel on it. Next, probably one of my few favorites. This old chassis from yet again the Hornby Gordon. This tower piecing was actually originally like glued, but kind of didn't work out, and this thing is actually really rusted. It looks like something you would like see in the scrapyard on the British railways. And I do think this looks kind of cool. Also, for other few pieces, let me just get them. These are old Tommy truck chassis. This one came from, like, I think an old coach. And the one obviously came from an SE Ruffy Tommy era, and one from just an old stock standard truck. I broke off their old, on one part thing I didn't break off the buffers, but one I did break off the buffers, but I might just glue them. I might just use these of like old scrap part things in the Trackmaster Scrapyard along with this, which I did do the same thing, like removing this. Also, what I originally did for like weathering, I actually did was I used like, put like black paint into like a thinner and kind of did this effect. But nowadays, I actually use this like black, I did what Leo Kim Video did and just spritz this stuff with like, putting like black acrylic paint in water and mixing it up. So yeah, and here's this old truck chassis, which came from, I'm gonna have to show you again. This truck actually, the truck actually did lose a buffer, but, yeah, plus actually, and the coupling was a bit loose on, and one of the couplings was about to come off. I actually, did the same on the other body, and just made this thing look like something that you would see in the scrapyard. Yeah, plus this truck, I will buy it a new chassis someday. So yeah, this probably looks the coolest out of some of them. These next two are cars. This one I got when I was at Chuck E. Cheese for my birthday. And no, I did not do the birthday party thing. No, I just went there just to visit there a little while with my dad. It was kind of nice time. But this thing, no, this part did not come like this. It was actually already like this when I got it. And I decided just to make this thing yet again, make it look like it was sagging down. Took out the little like detail piece thing. Just have like an old car that's been scrapped. And this car is an old HO thing. Yeah, I just actually found this when I looked through in the old crawl space for when I found some of my dad's older HO stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of neat finds. And this is one of the few cars, but it actually was a bit cracked, so I thought just giving it yet again a new life as a scrap car. And yes, the roof does come off, and you could just make it look like a 2-unit piece thing. So yeah. And Also, a lot of you Charlie haters are gonna like this. I actually don't understand why people hate Charlie, but this is a piece from a Charlie, and actually, I'm actually removed this from a Charlie. Plus, I will be making Millie from the Charlie that I took this boiler piece from. Just letting you know. So, yeah. And I don't get why people hate Charlie and the logging logos. I actually don't get it. Also, this piece from the Racer Bill. It's actually, the Racer Bill had a bit of a scratch on its eye and didn't want it. So I just removed its body, and I used its chassis for glue, which I'm still working on. It's a bit on and off. And it just looks really neat. How it looks like an old, it looks like one of those like things of like an old stationary, like an old steam generator like you've seen on like railways, almost railways. Next is just an old smoke box. Just put this little like thing from the test stores paint over it. Nothing special. This one, an old Sir Handle piece thing. Actually, Sir Handle stopped working, so I just did this. Also, this piece here broke. It kind of looks like it's like, look, you could just do this with it and make it look like it was broken. Also, I think I took a buffer off one side, so, yeah. Next is an old box car. Yeah, actually, the door from it did actually break off. It was an accident when I was putting it back on. And the bogies aren't actually from this, they're from the Dots box car. Their couplers actually came off, so I thought just, since this thing was broken, so I thought just, hey, why not swap the couplers around? Sorry, why not swap the bogies around? But I did do some rust inside of it to make it look like extra old. Make it look like it was extra scrap. So this does look kind of cool with like all the like old rust on it. I might just like weather it up a little more and just make it look even older. Next piece thing is like an old like body from an old Tommy Thomas. I actually tried getting the smoke box to come off, but it kind of felt that this happened to its body, like pressed together in a way. And then I actually just thought, hey, just like making it into like a scrap body. And my dad did this part for me. It's like a little like old scrap piece to make it look like an open cab. Also, this piece here actually kind of is a little bit broken, but it kind of adds to the scrap appeal. So I might paint the inside rust sometime, and yeah. This looks really neat overall. Next, my dad's personal favorite, I think, actually one of his favorites. This. It's an old Spencer, actually just painted originally like an old, like, you know, like the story thing, Henry sees red. I actually did a little thing with Spencer, but it didn't quite work good. Plus his chassis stopped working. So I thought just doing this with him, just like making him all scrap-like. I did do a little bit of on the buffer, and a bit on the roof, and like, also removed like the wheels. But, well, there wasn't any like A4s that were unsold that were scrapped. But you could just have this as like a scrap model of like one of the few A4 that was scrapped, for examples like Silver Link or Sir Ralph Redwood. So yeah, and this piece, old Tommy Gordon, it was just, there was a lot of weird, of like paint spill in there. Yeah, it's kind of, I had a bit of a weird face piece thing for doing that. Ignore what's going up upstairs. Ignore that. That's my dog. Yeah, I have two of them. I do like them when they're not being annoying. Next is an old Tommy whiff. I actually originally took it apart long ago when I was young, but put it back together. So I just did like a little like scrap body out of this. And again, this piece here. So yeah, then next is this piece from an old like Tommy caboose. This part originally was cracked, so I thought just scrapping it all up. I made this piece look like it was bent a little. Didn't do much damage to both sides, but I did make it look like someone smashed this piece a little, like the side piece was a bit smashed. Also, I took one of the step piece things off. So yeah. I would have made this probably look more scrap-like. Also, it's actually one of these like cheap Tommy caboose things, which people do find them useless, but you can actually detail them thanks to Leo Kim Video. Speaking of like the old like car things, here's this front piece thing. It was my old car thing. It actually had a broken front coupler, and the screw for the piece thing that's going on was stripped, so I couldn't get it off. So I actually just like tried getting it. And so I just tore it up, and actually what I originally did with it was gold. I had this like orange shell piece thing on top of it to look like some weird like tender. Yeah. Also make it I like it a little scrap car. I actually had this thing like look like it was actually removed. Also there's a few little holes from the things that were holding it on. So, yeah. Next is like an old Hornby Bill piece thing, yeah. Actually, it was actually the chassis. Well, I only needed chassis and I didn't have it used for the shell, so I did just scrapping it up. Its cap was in there, but I think it actually, I'll find it. Don't worry. I might find it. Next is a, oh, there it is! Ugh. So yeah, actually, I just painted this like old rust like to look like one of few like it does look kind of cool. It's like a little scrap body. Next piece thing actually it's not much. It's just an old piston from an old broken Bachman Spencer. Just painted all rust. Yeah. Next piece thing is actually just an old work in progress piece thing. It's a scrap model of James. I actually got the James in the lot, but it did not work. So I just scrapped them all up. I have to remove the face and just repaint them like a rust. I took like a bit of like the running board off. Like I said earlier, ignore what's going upstairs. Well, actually what's going on upstairs, actually just ignore it. If you can. Next piece is actually this Edward from yet again failed custom. The back actually a little piece there was removed. I actually removed these like pieces inside of him until I hollow him out. Also, yeah, again with the test source paint piece thing. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering what's going on upstairs, is actually Big Bang Theory. One of my few favorite shows. So yeah, but you might be wondering what I used for the rust. It's actually Tester's rust paint, yeah. And a bit of a shout for people that make scrap customs. If you want to do a scrap custom, here's what I recommend doing. I would either use, like, if you can't find the Tester's rust, because I probably already bought all of them already. I would actually recommend using, like, actually, it would use, like, a brown, but if you can't find it, if you can't find a brown, here's what I recommend doing. I would recommend using an, I rather recommend, like, using, an orange, a black, a silver, or black to make it. That's what I recommend using. If you can find rust. The black would probably look like it was extremely burnt. The others, paintings would look semi-good if you combine them all together. So yeah, and what I would also do, actually, let me get them on the track for you. Best I could do, but these actually are the scrap cards from my earlier unboxing video. And there's actually like a little thing with like old rust. This thing actually, this little here actually looks like a bunch of old like bogey part things. It's from some bogey lot my dad got me. And this piece thing here was just made from a whole bunch of old springs to look like shavings from factories. So, and this thing was actually of old wheels. And a bit of an old rust chain from that similar type of crane, but it was actually had like those like small little maintenance cranes. So yeah, also this for my series is person is original livery. And yet again, need to get him a new chassis. Also new tender for that for Peter. And a new chassis for this. For that truck over there. So yeah, this is actually what I like to do often with scrap pieces. Just like put them in like trucks and make them like have like engines pull them to like the scrapyard. Yeah, also for little like piece things. Is also for like my little like layout. I'm still working on it. I'm thinking about moving it to the ground. I'll let you get your opinion of that. Speaking of opinion, I might do a little thing called SE261 Rants, where I just talk about something that annoys me. Also, for like, actually, if something, I did get this tender engine. Actually, this actually kind of annoyed me a little. Is I got this tender engine and look, its front was broken. I was just so annoyed. Yeah, but I might be either buying a new shelf for this and getting help to make it run on this style of track. Also, if you can help me find a new shelf for this, please tell me. I kind of will need the kind of the help to find it. And what I'll do with the old buy is just like paint it like an old scrap engine and send it to the scrapyard. So yeah. So SE261 signing off. Now I have to clean all this up.